Hello. Who's here? How are you doing? Right, I'll just get the chat up. Hair's all over. Let's have a look. Okay. Say hello. So I'm going to be continuing. Sorry, I've got a lapel mic on, so I'm a bit getting used to it. And I hope it sounds all right. It's a little bit different from the mic. Okay, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's a bit better. Okay. Oh, we've got some more people on, which is great. I'm just going to chill and have my coffee for a little bit. Oop. It's picking up all my body noises. Well, it's great to have a few people on whilst I chill out and have my coffee. So what I thought I would talk about today is purposeful and deliberate practice. So I think what I'm going to do is, I don't think this mic's 100% sorted. I'm going to like swap mics. 2 seconds. Right, yeah, that sounds a little bit better. So I need to work on the just the EQing of the lapel mic that I'm using. Just going to take it off. But a good experiment, all the same. It's my life all over, just experimenting. So yeah, purposeful and deliberate practice. That's what I'm talking about today. And I'm going to also do a little review on my performance yesterday, playing with Thomas. So the McLaughlin and Hutch gig show that we did. Now, one of the things that I really love about playing live and improvising and just making stuff up is that it's I'm using the height of my abilities. Everything's going into that, and you're in front of people, so you play what you play. Hi, Black Milk. How are you doing? Everybody's a bit quiet, actually. So the cool thing about a gig, playing in front of people, is that you are under pressure, okay? And, the things that the ability that you have got, you will use. And if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. And those are the areas that you need to practice. This is what I find. It's the same with when you're releasing music as well. I mean, the time when you learn the most from your music that you're making is when you release it, because there is no going back. So whatever's wrong with it at the time, it's out there and you can learn from that. And, we can never do anything totally perfect, can we? So there's always going to be mistakes. Hi, Ian. Hi, Graham. Live Professor. Hello. I like the name, Live Professor CN. And obviously Black Milk. Good to see you all here. So, I think like one of the things that massively has helped me is working out what I actually need to practice, because the most important thing about being a musician, right, is our connection to the world, isn't it? And as a coach, one of the problems Excellent. You're a big fan. Brilliant. Well, this is a behind the scenes of my life, my musical life. So I hope you enjoyed. I don't know. Is this the first time you've actually been sort of on my channel, on my broadcast, as I would call it? So, yes, what we've got to remember is our connection to the world. So bear this in mind. And I'm just going to show you something. And I'll do a bit of a screen share. Let's see if this comes up. Oh, look at that. Nothing like a good old mind. Can everybody see that? Anyway, I'll zoom in a bit. There we go. So this is a very important diagram to me. Because the one thing about being a coach is you get to coach yourself, and I learn off all the other people who I'm coaching, because like everybody's problems seem to be very similar to mine, and I've done all the worst things and overcome them. So this is what is called zones of experience, and at the top here we have connection. So as a musician, for me, I think it's really important to always think about your connection to the world, all right? The meaning of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the purpose, okay? So, I mean, for me, I connect with the world because I want to help the world. I want to make the world a much better place right through my music, you know? It keeps people entertained. It makes people happy. I do coaching and I teach as well. And these are very transformative things for people, you know? For those of you who don't know me, I also work extensively in the British Health Service, NHS, where I am a therapeutic musician or music coach. So every day on a daily basis, I'm working with people with, mental health issues, autism, and learning difficulties. So, and I see music having a massive effect on them. So really, I'm using music to help people, make their connection with the world and make the world a better place. So this seems to be my purpose that has kind of manifested itself over the years. It sort of just naturally ended up doing that. Absolutely, 100% by Black Milk, yeah. So, it's been a calling that's found me, you know. I just ended up as an artist, as a musician, working, just doing an afternoon in a hospital, helping people, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew, and I built a whole skill set around that. And then obviously, I ended up getting trained as a coach by the amazing coach Mike Monday, who is like one of the top guys. In fact, it's on his website now. He coaches Jax Jones. And I've been coaching for him since 2017, and he's been coaching me since 2014. And it's been amazing. I've done so many releases. I mean, in my dance phase, I charted 7 times, 122 releases. I lost count after that. All of McLaughlin and Hutch stuff. The list goes on quite a bit, But obviously, my main sort of, the job is being a music coach. That's what I do on a daily basis. And I really love coaching, right? Because the thing about, teaching, you're installing skills, all right? So people are just like, I want to learn this, right? And you teach them, you install the skills. And people become very skill-focused. Now look here on this chart. How do I do this? Skills, knowledge, abilities. Now, one of the problems when you're coaching people is they won't do anything because they don't think they know enough, right? And that's just not true, okay? There are people who have amazing careers, right? And they know very little. It's just because they have all the other skill areas that are on this chart dialed in proportion, usually. And it's what I call the conditions of... it's the conditions of success, basically. And I'll be talking about that later on, because this month, on this channel, on my channel, I'll be talking about all of the kind of coaching aspects, what I help people through. So there's a big list of things I want to talk about. But today I thought I would just review my performance yesterday and talk a little bit about purposeful and deliberate practice. So Bob Dylan, yeah. He used the skills that he had. So when I'm coaching unlike installing skills, so you're installing skills as teaching, sometimes like coaching and mentoring and consultancy get a bit mixed up, all right? If you're a consultant, you're listening to somebody's situation and then you're giving them advice and information, all right? When you're being a mentor, you're going, right, come to the studio, this is how I do it. And they just watch you doing your thing and you explain it and you're teaching them on the job, okay? But coaching, totally different thing. Coaching is about helping somebody facilitate, and this is really important to remember, to facilitate the skills they've already got. So in other words, when I'm actually coaching somebody, I know I have the group thing. Now that's kind of non-directive coaching. Sometimes it goes into teaching, okay? Because if somebody's got a skill deficit or there's a common problem in the group, then I'll start teaching. If everybody agrees to have a taught session and it's a common problem, and then I'll start going into whatever skills that they need to know, right? But the coaching thing always comes first, because we've already got the skills. We just need to know which skills and how to use them to make us connect, to make that connection, okay? And what I'm kind of talking about today is like, how do you know what skills, right? Now, for me, when I came back into shredding, I wasn't really sure what kind of skills I needed to become whatever, a modern day shred guitarist is. So the best thing to do was to jump in with 2 feet. I mean, there wasn't much of a choice. That was the situation on doing these lives, and start playing guitar. So you're playing guitar, you're in front of people, and it is a mind map. And you're under pressure. You're under lots of pressure, and the abilities that you've got there and then, that's what you've got. And the things that are going wrong that you're trying to do are the things that you need to practice. So mistakes are really good, right? Now, I'll tell you why mistakes are good, is because when you make a mistake in a situation like that, under pressure, in front of people, or when you're recording, a mistake is a hidden intention. So we can have an investigation behind that, can't we? And to find that, it's playing under pressure for me. So, kind of getting out there, playing in front of people, putting yourself in situations, doing live streams. It's not for everybody, but it's a good way to find that. Doing as much, the softer options are this. Playing over backing tracks and just playing and improvising. And then when something goes wrong, work out what it is, and then you need to practice that. But how do we practice it is the question for today. There's a really good book. I can never remember the authors. I read some time ago, and it's called Peak, and it's a study. I mean, Graham's always good at this. Graham will tell you what the author is. It's on Audible. What I do is I love having Audible in the car whenever I'm driving about. The car is like my library, so I'm quite well read on sort of coaching and music theory, especially the music self-help kind of things. The psychology of music. I'm really into that. So one of the books was Peak. Now, Peak is a psychologist's study of elite performers, and it's not just in music. I mean, there is a music section in it, but it's talking about, one of the best bits for me is the London taxi drivers, but it's looking at how these people become elite. Roland Smith, there we go, Peak. How these people become elite at what they're doing, how they become absolutely amazing, and how they practice. All right. So he studies London taxi drivers because apparently it's one of the hardest qualifications to get. He studies Air Force One pilots, that whole thing in the Vietnam War when the kill ratio between America and Vietnam was very, very similar. And then the Americans tried, completely changed the way that they practiced and drilled. There's the musicians, and it goes into this whole theory about the 10,000 hours, which I'm not totally on. You can probably do it in less or more. Sat navs, yeah, before they had sat navs. But I don't think a sat nav covers everything, because in this book, like a London taxi driver, if you didn't know the street or where you were going, right, you could just say to a London taxi driver, it's the post office with the gargoyle on the wall. And you go, all right, it's this, So that's the advantage of London taxi drivers. They know all the landmarks and little architectural details and things like that. Which I don't think the sat-nav would know yet, unless they do an AI London taxi driver, which will probably happen, won't it? And it'll know every little kind of nook and cranny of London. Yeah. But we're not going to go down the AI route yet. All right, then. So where was I? So Peak, yes. So, and what it talks about is these two modes of practice. So we have purposeful and we have deliberate. When we practice purposefully, what we do is, it's basically, the way I think of about it is basically me and the missus going off to the tennis courts, right? We've got some nice tennis courts where I am. We never go to them. But if we do, and it's usually I'm really reluctant and don't want to do it, and she thinks like if we just play tennis for 5 minutes, we'll get super fit, right? And we've got to do something for our fitness. So I'll be dragged to the tennis court. And then it'll be like, okay, let's hit a ball, all right? Nobody really knows any technique or any tennis technique in that. But we're just hitting the ball backwards and forwards. And we're going, let's see how many times we can hit it backwards and forwards, right? Sometimes we might get 10, sometimes it'll be 15, sometimes it'll be none. But there's no particular study of the technique. We're not analysing what we're doing. What we're doing for purposeful practice, how I tell my guitar students that we're doing, is when we're purposely practicing, we're doing mindless repetitions. So we don't want to be doing mindless repetitions, do we? No. And that's when we get into this thing of like, oh, I've got a good day on guitar, now I've got a bad day. But, if you want to practice, what you want is you want your bad day to be your good day a month ago. And this is how we do it. So I'll just quickly have a look at the chart. So time probably, yeah, before the... So ergo, they still have to do the knowledge they study for years to do. It trains the hippocampus, which is a basic muscle that needs constant exercise for memory and recall. Yeah. So they still have to do the knowledge, but there's actually, with the London taxi driver thing, if you're referring to that, they kind of do it in a really practical way. So one of the ways that they train is they have mopeds and they go about, they drive on little routes. So they're kind of practically learning it. Knowledge is important, but there is a balance. We don't want to be knowing lots of stuff. And I've talked about this before. you know, when I was at college and university, we talked about this before, like, you know, you can have lots of knowledge and then not use it, so, or not know how to use it, but you know it. What we want to be doing is we want to be learning the things that we need to, again, make our connection to the world. But I mean, saying that, you know, if you didn't want to make a connection, you just like practicing, then that's cool too, you know. But for the people who want to kind of go out there, connect with the world in some sort of way, and be an artist and develop a style, this is one of the ways that you do it. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I practice and make the same mistakes every day. So this could be something. Time Prophet. I've got a crap hip account. I can't remember lyrics. Okay. Again, remembering things, it's just practice, isn't it? And how you practice. Scott's got a picture of a moped. That's something I started doing and never finished, and it's something to do with getting paid for whatever I'm doing. Yeah, it looks like a crystal. What's this? I think that should have been Anders Ericsson, Robert Poole, or Brad. All right. Yeah, it's peak. And it's the 10,000 hour. It talks about the 10,000 hours practice. That basically it says that all elite, or most of them, elite performers, have done 10,000 hours. At least that, if I remember rightly, that was the case for violinists playing in this Berlin orchestra, and it was a university, and you had 3 groups of performers. You had sort of first violinists had all done 10,000 hours. You had second violinists had done something like 8,500, and then the people who weren't in the orchestra became teachers, and they'd done just over 5,000 hours of practice by the time that actually got to the conservatoire of, can't remember where it was, but I'm sure, I'm quite good at remembering numbers, that'll have been something like that. Right, so Time Prophet says, I believe 10,000 hours wrong practice doesn't get you anywhere, of course. So it's all based on how you practice, isn't it? So we talked about purposeful. We need to look at like deliberate, don't we? And that's what I'm going to kind of have a look at today. Right, what was I talking about? Deliberate, purposeful, deliberate practice. There was something else. Right, it's gone, but it doesn't matter. So I think I better pick a guitar up. Oh yes, so 10,000 hours is about 417 days. If you don't eat or sleep, I may get somewhere. Yeah, well, you need to spread it out. All right, you need to spread it out. That's what it is, you know, and then a kind of this thing of natural talent. You know, he's naturally talented, and just, you know, my daughter plays violin, right? She never practices, and you could say she was naturally talented. You know, she kind of could just pick it up and do stuff, right? But that's not the case now. I mean, she's doing a grade 8 violin, okay? But other kids who practice are much better, who probably aren't, you know, when they were younger, as naturally talented as my daughter. Because it all comes, when you become professional, the whole thing comes down to how often you practice, and more importantly, how you practice. So we're trying to avoid the mindless repetitions, aren't we? So what was really interesting yesterday, so I haven't played today either, so I'm going to be rough as hell, which is good. Again, another test. And I'll just get So I'll think of a example from yesterday. Shouldn't be too hard because there was a few car crashes. All right. Oh. So one thing I realised, right, was we were doing Italian disco, and then there's that, like, I just messed up the whole kind of lead break that I'm meant to be doing, which I can't remember anyway, but I do remember bits of it. Now, my playing style, at that point of McLaughlin and Hutch, right, was very much old Hutch kind of style, Hutch shred. So I was a big sort of alternate picker. I wasn't doing any economy picking, and I would say I kind of ended up in the later part of my shredding days wrongly pigeonholing myself as an outside picking person. Okay, so the first thing when I learned about outside picking and inside picking, and that, you know, players who were quite good, like very good, successful, like big players, shredders would in some way pigeonhole themselves as an outside picker. All right, this is all on the Troy Grady YouTube as well. So for some reason, we find the outside motion easier. Oh, I'm going inside there, right? So the inside motion is a lot easier to get around, but the problem is you have to have inside at some point. When you're turning things around, you're gonna have to have an inside motion. This is like what people really find difficult, and they'll think of different ways to overcome that. And I know, like Paul Gilbert, I can't remember if he does it, but like if you watch him when he's doing a string skipping, he'll do 2 downs or 2 ups to make something playable, to avoid that. So there are kind of work rounds for it. That's one of the things I've tried to do. Well, I'll just do 2 downs or 2 ups to get me through something. But then when it comes to sort of improvising and free playing, and you want to be all over the place and you want to play odd note groupings, it's very difficult. You need something that's less. Doing the 2 downs and 2 ups feels very sort of planned to me. So then when I'm playing and having to overcome things with that technique, it's more thinky. And then if I'm thinking, I'm not listening to the music, am I? So I need something that's more like ingrained into the caveman thing. He does hammer-ons on Ron string as well, and alternately picks. That's another way of getting around it. So the first thing was the alternate picking had gone a bit weird. Well, not just the alternate picking. I mean, that's very general, so that's a very purposeful attitude. But specifically, what was suddenly I realised when, can't. That feels really weird. When I started the thing and I thought I'll quickly avoid it and there's something else, and I couldn't think how to get around it. So it was all a bit weird. So I had a bit of a brain fart at that point. And what the problem is that I haven't completely lost it, but I'm not used to outside motion. And the reason for this, right, is because when I do picking, most of the time now, it's economy picking. And why is that relevant? Well, when you're economy picking, right, it's all about the caveat of it is that you have to be okay or good at inside motion. It's just one of the things. Unless you kind of go in the Frank Gambale route, which I'm sure he doesn't do now, you need to be able to do whatever. But when I remember the first Frank Gambale video, where he's got the yellow guitar and the leather pants, that he was talking about you have to have an even number of notes to turn your lick around, and that sort of helps the picking motion. But what I like to do with my economy picking is I like to combine that with alternate picking. So, but it's predominantly the inside motion. So if I'm doing something like that, if I'm turning, so you can see the kind of angles there. I'll zoom in. So what's fundamentally happening? So this is like economy. So I'm going down, up, down, down, up, down, down. But to turn round, see that angle? That's an inside motion. So to be able to come down, I have to do it. That's the caveat. And then once I'm over that, it's the same motion to cross the string. So to me, you know, if I was if I'm looking at this scientifically, and I've started looking at sort of my music more spiritually and scientifically, right? The easiest way to do this is just to have everything moving in one motion, isn't it? Because you're using momentum or gravity. Right, okay, so, right, now here's this is a very interesting comment here by Time Prophet. It's very important. I used to economy pick and I didn't even know I was doing it. Now I do strict alternate picking to get me out of the habit. So how do you know that the economy picking was a bad habit? So you've got players like Joe Bonamassa, right? Eric Gales and people like that. And when you watch them, Eric Johnson, okay, Eric Johnson groups of 5, to actually play that, right, which I can't do because I haven't practiced it like that. I do groups of 5 a different way. But they do it like, he does it in the traditional sort of pentatonic way. To make those groups of 5 more playable, they do like a little sly economy motion. Now let me try and remember what it is. That's it. So that's what they're doing there. They'll do some descending thing in groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But to come back up, there's a little economy pick. So it's not like a thing I practice anymore. But actually that was the start of me thinking about economy picking. Right, okay. So I used... This is another good comment as well here. Well, I think you need to get alternate picking down before you can experiment without doing it, if you know what I mean. I do know what you mean. Right, you know... What is that scientifically or factually based on, Time Prophet? Because when I see things like that, I do think there's a little bit of belief in there that I need to do. Again, it's this, going back to the chart, I need to learn this skill before I do another skill. That's a skill within a skill, isn't it? If you think about it this way, Time Prophet, do you do sweep picking? Because if you're doing sweep picking, okay, and alternate picking, you're already on the way of doing economy picking. So you can do both. And there's a couple of ways. I mean, predominantly I do the economy picking thing, or you can do economy picking as a method. Right. This could be down to practice, but this is what we're talking about today. So we'll see what you think by the time I'm finished. Yeah. So we need to practice everything, really. It's a real balancing act, isn't it? Practicing between all of these different techniques. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think my belief was that, actually, one of my problems was, being completely honest, I was avoiding doing hybrid picking and economy picking as well, because I just didn't think I would be really good. I thought it would damage my playing, because I couldn't possibly be good at all of these things. And I didn't have the time to put into it, but that's just not true. I've learned to economy pick at the back end of my career. great time profit. That's excellent, because it's kind of, I know it's a Sunday and I'm meant to be chilling out, but just suddenly it's become really important, this whole practice chat. Anyway, let's go back to my horrible alternate picking. Right. So they're all tools, yeah. Ergo hog, they're all tools. They're all tools having a way to work between them, and what you need in a good and easy manner is the art. There you go. Because we don't want to be thinking about the technique, do we? We just want to be playing. And unfortunately, I ended up thinking about the technique, and I was thinking I can't remember how to do it. And it's simply because I'm not using that motion as much as I should be, the outside motion of picking. So I need to practice it. Okay. So, okay, there's like a little descending Paul Gilbert thing. But let's just kind of break the outside motion down. This is what we're looking at. So I can play that. That's kind of shrinking the problem down a little bit. He doesn't know what he's doing. I think he does know what he's doing. But I think he's an innovator, okay? So what he'll have done is nobody will have taught him about economy picking, but he'll have gone, oh, that's a really easy way to do X, and then he's known how to develop it. Because Malmsteen knows how to practice. And he'll know how to deliberately practice. He'll know how to isolate a problem, which is what we're doing now. So what I need to do is I need to think of a way of getting to the heart of the problem and being able to do as many repetitions as I possibly can. So that's a good start. Okay. But even better is we can start just playing those two notes, because where all the problems happen, usually with this sort of thing, is it's when you're transferring from one string to another. It's that transition. Now, the problem with this particular lick is that when you're actually playing it with these other notes, is it does require some angling on the pick. Because you don't want to get trapped behind a string. Okay, so when I'm starting this, I'm going, the picking angle is basically an upward slant. In fact, what I'll do is I'll kind of spin round to it. But if we just start with this, and the reason I'm using that slant is because the pick's coming away from the string. If I don't do that, I'm trapped, and I need to go, if I'm alternate picking, I need to go over the other side of this. So this is what Troy Grady will describe, and we've all experienced that kind of awkward bouncing hand motion. Because your hand's quite clever, it'll try and avoid things. It's got its own life. It'll go, I'm going to crash. No, I need to jump over quick. And that's when we get the bouncing thing. You realise, oh no, I can't do it. Sweaty hands, stress, and it's all like, oh. Rough Guitar Studio, hi, how are you doing? He hasn't analysed it. Well, he's just a natural. He's Yingwi, isn't he? I'd have to talk to him. Some people just do stuff, So anyway, what was I doing? Yeah. So we're trying not to get trapped, so that's why I've got the upward motion, because we're going outside the strings. And that upward motion is the thing that I'm not doing enough of. Okay? It's that rotation. I'm doing the inverse because I'm doing inside motion. So I need to and I can feel it it's quite stiff in the wrist to do that. It doesn't feel as subtle as it used to. I'm noticing, I'm thinking, well, that's a bit stiff. So it's something I'm neglecting as well. So the first thing is a bit of pick planting. For those of you who don't know what pick planting is, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to get something that hasn't got any delay on it. Pick planting, and without the widener. So the idea with the pick planting is I'm just trying to cut down the amount of motion on the pick. I mean, we don't need to have a really tight motion all the time, but it really helps if you're building up speed and you're trying to just, conserve energy and be relaxed. Then the planting is an important thing. So one way you can practice it, which is a bit noisy, is you can pick and then try and stop the string straight away with the upstroke. And you can soon develop a very efficient action with that. Sometimes too efficient. But what we want to do is then we want to do the planting across the two strings. Now that's going to require working out this very snappy angle. So you can see my hand doing this. Now what I need to work on deliberately practicing is this string change. And what I need to get into my head is like how little of a motion I can get away with. So I don't need a massive angle. Like sometimes we can use massive angles on stuff, descending pentatonic stuff, that happens. I'll tell you, a really good, Thomas's action's really good at this. So you can, because he alternate picks most things, but he'll do like little economy workaround on some stuff. But generally he can pick most things, and what you'll watch is those great rotations, and they're very quick and snappy. Yeah, so you want to be too efficient. So what I'm working out here, and remember this is deliberate practice, okay? Purposeful practice, we would be just going, whatever. Okay? Deliberate practice, we're coming in, we're trying to work out, we're breaking this up into tiny little pieces, all right? And we're working through it. So in other words, deliberate practice, we've got a very specific aim and objectives to this, okay? That we're going to create what I call micro practices. So the pick is part of it. I'm trying to work out the angle, because if I pick this way and then I pick that, this is the problem. I've only got one note on this string before I've got to come back, so I'm trapped behind the string. So I have to have less. I still have to have the rotation. So the camera blurs a bit for some reason. I have to have the rotation, but all I can do is just minimize how much that rotation is. So actually, this is almost like not flat picking, but the pick is almost straight, but it isn't. It's the tiniest little rotation, just enough to hop me over that string. And the other thing I'm doing so I'm limiting the action. I don't want this. When you first start as a beginner, you might exaggerate the picking motion to get that thing going, but when you know a bit, it's about economizing it. So that's the first thing. Do tell me in the chat if you're finding this entertaining and useful, because I do tend to get carried away and then on details, but these details are important. So that's the first of the micro practice. Now what you may find that's happening is that we're building up tension. So I'm getting, because I'm not used to this motion, I'm getting tension across here. So In a Game of Music, as you know, one of my favourite books, I read that for a laugh, all right? Seriously. Okay. Don't worry, Black Milk. The idea is simple. You'll get it. Watch it back, okay? So simply, we're just learning to pick outside of the strings and outside motion. And this is in relation to a problem that I had yesterday on the live. Okay, so yeah, so in the inner game of music, right? Normally, like when we're practicing before, like in a game of music, if I was playing something and I was kept getting it wrong, I would just focus on, I am going to get this right. I'm going to play this perfectly, and then I'd be really aware of where the problem is. In the inner game of music, what it says is it just tells you to observe, and that is it. So I'm going to observe and locate where that tension is. It's a bit like a meditation body scan, really. And I'm going to see if I can just get that muscle to relax as I'm playing. So it might be just adjusting. So that tension's happening because now I'm aware that I'm holding the pick too tight. So part of this practice is now how light can I hold the pick? We're getting there. So now I'm using 1mm, so there is flex in this. And I have a variety, so I'll use either that blue one. What's that kind of one? These are like the Dunlop flows. And then I've got the exact same pick again, but in a different material. It's the grippy one, this. It's a tactile thing. Like if I get bored of that one, then I'll get this one. So today actually I'm feeling this one more. So it's coming together quite nicely now. And that is because well, it's brown in it, but they're identical picks. Like if I put them like that, very similar, just different textures. Yeah. So okay. So now we're coming into how much you use the tip. I just use a little bit. Okay. So too little, not enough attack rate. Now there's a way around this. So anyway, I'm getting lost in doing that now. So yeah, let's just have a look at these. So two things here. Another one is observing how much the pick tip is used. Too much and harder, too little, not enough attack. Yeah. So it's really important to listen to the pick attack. Oh, and then Rough Guitar Studio says hard gives less dirt. Yeah. But hard is more energy, isn't it? So what is the workaround? All right. So I'll show you what that is. So when I learned to do economy picking, there's obviously the pick planting. Switch to a pentatonic scale. Now listen to how hard I pick this. I could pick so hard with this economy motion, I could rip the strings off this guitar. Okay, but you'll notice how relaxed this hand is. And I'll tell you something that you know that cliche, I'm going to now tell you something that nobody's talking about, right? So there's pick planting, that's the first bit, we've covered that. The other bit is string displacement, all right? And the string displacement is, and it really helps my pick planting, the string displacement is pushing the string. So as long as I've got a hold of the pick, I don't have to tightly grip it to pick hard. Because if we're tightly gripping something, as the alternate motion is one of the problems I've got, is I'm gripping too hard and it's causing tension here and it's making the whole thing tense up, right? So I need to learn to relax. And I need to practice the displacement and the planting and the angles, right? There's multiple things going on here. When we're doing economy picking, or any picking, all I'm doing is I'm keeping quite a relaxed grip on the pick. In fact, sometimes the pick could almost fall out of my fingers there. But there's plenty of attack, and the attack's quite even. So what am I doing? I'm pushing the string. It's a bit like classical guitar. And you're pushing at and then you put your planting in. And the more planting you use, the more kind of staccato and and the more sort of isolation you get between the notes. And you still have to do your angles, even when you're economy picking. The pick's never really straight. Not for me anyway. And that's like, that would be very hard to alternate pick, something like that. Because it's 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. So anyway, back to the alternate picking. So what have we got? So in our micro practice, we've got practice 1 is the planting going outside. Another important thing is look at your picking hand as well. A lot of the time when I'm teaching people and learn stuff, I'll say play that, and they'll look somewhere else and not look at the hand. I do it as well, actually. And then the next part of it is adding in the rest of it. And there we go. And we've got something going there. The other part of it is what goes up has got to come down, hasn't it? So we've got to go down. Right, yeah, 88, balanced. Yeah, you got a little bit of flex in it. I used to use 2mm picks, but I found the attack really dull, and there was like too much pick chirp, that kind of I'll drop my pick. There was too much pick chirping going on. So couldn't deal with that. And then I just noticed, because I just copy what Thomas is doing really. So he was using these, and then I really like the bevel on this because it just slips off the strings. And it's about as light as you can get with a little bit of flex, so you can do like funky stuff. And the attack's much brighter. Oops. That was the economy version. So Yep, and then the other thing I need to just think about is descending stuff. So descending groups of sixes. That's another one. So we're going the other way now. And it's just really minimizing that motion, the rotation. There we go. It's getting, I mean, that's another good exercise, actually. So I feel I'm tensing up at the end of that. Well, there we go. It's getting there. So those are some little micro practices that I'm going to do. So that was a mess up one. And then the other thing was just keys that I was playing in. So I was getting brain farts in a few different keys. One of them was like really weirdly, because I quite like playing it, it was like C. In fact, you know what we need to do? Before I start going any further. That's the deliberate and purposeful practice, right? But how do you actually review what you're doing? So I've got a process of this. Now, let's see, I've got 40 people on here. So the way I was coached to do this, if you want to have continuous improvement and know what you're doing, is you use this simple free writing system. And I'll do that with everybody here now. From what I remember yesterday, I should have done it actually after the performance. But you do a WOP. In other words, W is for wins. And then we have problems. And we have opportunities. I always do wins. Like, as human beings, we're just, like, especially from a coaching thing, like, usually, even if I ask somebody, like, all right, what wins, what's gone well, they'll start launching into the problems. And I'm like, no, you got to tell me what went well, because no matter how problematic something was or how bad things can go, we can always have positives out of a negative. That's the first thing. Yeah. Like, just turning up. Like, if everything was such a disaster, just turning up and doing the thing for the exposure would be a win. So, you know, there was a number of wins there. You know, I felt my playing was quite melodic. And I've noticed this as a kind of new thing. It was quite melodic, yeah. Some things I was able to play a little bit more fluidly in a kind of melodic way yesterday. So that was another thing that was good. And the blues, I loved the blues jam. Because I just felt, oh, this is like just what I needed, you know. I did feel connected to that. It'd be interesting to hear it back, actually. But the problems were, as we know, very specific: descending, alt, picking, run. The other thing is, I can never remember any of my songs. So I'm like asking Thomas how to play my own shed, which is just mental. But then we're improvising anyway, so I'm a bit slack, you see. I think, oh, I'm here to improvise, but I should make an effort. And about once a year I do, but I should just make more of a point. And then confusion with some of the keys. Oh, and then I was doing this chromatic bending thing. thing. So the thing with that is, a half kind of got nervous about it. Half did it. And it kind of worked a couple of times, and then I just lost it. So I'm going to have a look at that. And then there's the opportunities. So the opportunities are micro practice, exercise, or outside motion. Okay, and I can just do like 1 minute, 2 minute things. It's more like remembering, isn't it? So that's the first thing. Keys, right? Just practice. Now, what I could do is practice the outside alt picking scales in. Now, the keys were C minor, C sharp minor, A minor. For some reason, I don't like A minor very much. G minor, but I think that was okay, but I'm going to put it down. So I'm going to give those, so practice the scales and those keys. However, that'll practice the outside motion, but actually to really dial this in, I need to improvise on backing tracks in those keys. So there's 2 bits of practice there. And then the chromatic thing is, again, improvise over backing and use it and find out what works. So what do I mean about those bends? Let's have a look. Oh, right. I was messing about with this yesterday, actually. So if I'm in, like, bending that a harmonic note, and then I started bending, if we're in E minor, F's just not a note that works at all. But then bend it to the F sharp, which sounded quite good. But I think we just need to... maybe record something. Something like that'll do, won't it? Let's see what we've got. Drums. bending these odd notes up. So something like that. Please mute your solo. Alright, you're hearing the picking over the top. Alright. Oh, and there's another problem with that run. I find it hard to do that, play that 3-1-3 combination in legato as fast as I need to. Very hard. Whoa. then the other thing is like whatever you're practicing it, put it in the context of the solo. And then obviously, like, you know, when you're playing with backing tracks, when something goes wrong, remember a mistake is a hidden intention, is then you can just practice that as an exercise with the backing track, and you're playing it in context, and then just try little phrases like before and after it and within it. So, you know, you can just then experiment with melodic ideas. But not like that, you see, because there I was falling on the avoid note too much. Really should use it as a passing. There it works, you see. There's another one. So there, and then sometimes you got to take it outside of the track. So just my legato there is not hammers only, doesn't feel that balanced. And also I need the muting. I know the reason for that though is because like my hand's very tired because I've been obsessively practicing it, like some like really crazy exercise. In fact, I've been doing this. So that's been like something I've been doing. It's like proper hard, but then hammers only. So my hand's quite tired from doing that. But anyway. So this is more to do with using the tips of my fingers. And relaxing. Okay, so we'll improvise just doing like hammers only and well, legato. There we go. So that stuff like that's really hard. So there are some practicey kind of tips for you. All right. And it's now time for a coffee break. I'm going to pour fresh coffee. I'll drink this one. Right, what time is it? All right. Coffee cam close up. Right. So, I've covered quite a bit there and done a bit of playing, and you've seen me making lots of mistakes, and I've sort of done a review of yesterday. Obviously, all of this happens very, very quickly. 5 minutes on the wins, problems, opportunities. You know, you're just brainstorming and then quickly coming up with some, bits of practice that you can, small, tiny little exercises that you can do in 1-2 minutes bursts. There must be some questions. Does anybody want to ask me anything? Or has everything I said been quite clear? Has everybody sort of been able to follow? And obviously black milk. A slow bet. No, I'm actually bending a wrong note into a right note. Black milk. So just so I'm bending a wrong note into a right note. The interesting thing about that is if you didn't know any scales, that you have just over a 50% chance of playing a correct note, but you also have 48% chance of playing something wrong. However, if you play a wrong note, if you either sharpen it, so it doesn't matter what note I land on, if I bend it up a semitone, it'll sound right. Or if I just slide it down one tone, it'll sound correct. Sorry, a semitone. So a semitone either way. And the note's correct. It doesn't matter where you are. Yeah, it's a good little thing. Yeah, so I was just messing about with that the other day, and it's something I knew about, but like didn't really do anything about it, or like might have done it ages ago and forgot about it. Does a higher gain setting help note volume? Well, if you use absolutely tons of gain, the more gain distortion you use, distortion's like a form of compression, isn't it? So basically, it's just flattening everything to be the same volume, so you can control volume through distortion. If you use too much distortion, though, which I don't like to use absolutely tons of it, if you use too much of it, then there's going to be no dynamics left. Yeah, the 3-1-3 thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't often do them, but if you wanted to come for a guitar lesson, ergo, I might be able to squeeze you in for one. If you wanted to come for a guitar lesson, or if you need more than one, it would have to be maybe next month. But if you want to hit me up, then I can teach you how to just do the 3-1-3. But great that it was all crystal clear. Oh, that's excellent. Anybody else? Whilst I sit here enjoying my coffee. Having a think. Anyway, talking about thinking, so today's session, because if you notice, I'm not making much of my own music, because I'm too busy talking about all the things that I've been through, being somebody who's been coached and as a coach, and all the things that I've learned. Obviously, I've got a new track coming out very, very soon. I've just got to record 2 little guitar solos, which I wrote, and it's done, and that's the one with the missus. So that's my connection to the world. But more so, this is my big connection. And to make that value, because one of the things, problems I was having with the channel is I'm like, right, well, I want it to be a resource for people, okay? So what I've decided to do is just do a series of lives where I'm talking about something. Some of them, if I don't talk for very long, I'll start making music. But I think like February, I'll be back to making music and talking about that. At least doing my creative practice, because at the minute I'm doing this live and then I'm having to do like splurging after it and stuff. But I want to be doing everything live, ideally. So last week we talked about a dreamer. We talked about what it is being a creator in the process of making music. The other interesting thing about all the things I'm talking about is the transferable skills into any area of your life. All right. So dreamer, creator, and then we're talking about Monday. Oh, this is really important because actually we've borderlined on it now. Is tomorrow I'll be talking about the connector. And then that concludes our 3-rule theory chat. Okay, so I've done that one. Tuesday, we're going to start talking about the conditions of success. Now, this is very, very important. Because if you're finding, life's getting in your way and you're trying to do things and you're like, all right, I'll do some guitar practice. I'm going to sit down now. And then suddenly like the missus is like, you've got to go pick the kids up or, or make the tea, or I want you to tidy the house, or in my case, hoover the stairs, right? And then that kind of throws you off flow and then you don't get the thing done that you want to do, or you're just struggling to make music because you feel that you don't have enough time. Then, the conditions of success are the start of doing this. So, one of my problems, as I talked about, is I'd never had enough time to make music. So, and also the way that I was thinking was completely off. It was all very quality and results focused. So, conditions of success are focus, habits, environment, decisions, fear, boredom, skills, and community. And we're going to talk about each one of these. The important thing is like I mentioned, skills second last, right? These are all of equal importance. So I want people to start thinking about the skill set of equal importance to how they focus and the habits that they have, the environment that they're in. Yeah, I'm always tweaking my environment. I tried to have that's why I was messing about with the lapel mic, but there's problems, but I had to try it out on the live, see what it was doing. It was like bothering me, so I've taken it off and gone back to the mic, which wasn't what I was wanting to do, but But anyway, environment. So there's all these decisions is one of my favourite ones, so I'll spend a bit of time on that one, decisions, because when we're talking about making decisions, I'm talking about insight and analysis and how we can use the two things. And what you find is, quirkily enough, all of these things, especially insight and analysis, falls into the 3-rule theory: dreamer, creator, and connector. Because, when I'm talking about the dreaming and the discovery and craft, the decision-making process is very similar and kind of overlays with it. So that'll be quite an interesting one, as all of them. Fear. Fear. And I think one thing I would like to explore more with that is a new concept which I'm doing in my new coaching group, which is the connectors, I'm calling it. Or in other words, it's the professionals. It's basically a group for people who want to quit what they're doing and just be a full-time musician like me. And it's making that big leap, making that jump and preparing yourself and coming up with a viable vocational strategy that's going to provide an income so you don't end up starving or homeless. But that's what that group's about. It's not for everybody. I mean, obviously, like if you're doing music and it's just, it's a leisure thing and whatever, that's cool. There are other like coaching options as my main groups, which you would have to do anyway before going into this other group, because a lot of it relies on learning a process. But more, I'm being very vague, I know. But anyway, so fear, I'm quite interested in the concept of graded exposure. So thinking of things that that you want to do but you're putting off because they're too frightening and they just evoke a fight or flight response. So how do we kind of create a system of exposure so you can slowly get used to that idea? So that was that kind of thing. And then boredom, we get bored, so how do you make things interesting again? But yes, so more on that as in the coming days. So that's what we'll be doing after Connection on Monday, as I'll be squarely focused on habits, environment, decisions, fear, boredom, skills, and community. But there's a whole itinerary of stuff here, I'll be talking about modularization of creativity. It's all exciting stuff. So the different areas of process. So each one of those I'll be going through, like splurging, discovery, drafts, done, release. And then one of the weeks I've got a group thing where we're actually all going to do some free writing together. So I'm hoping everybody takes part on that, but I'll prompt everybody, the day before that you're going to need a pen and a bit of paper if you're going to do this, but we'll be all doing a free write together, me included. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff, pages. All right. So anybody who's sort of just flying past and kind of just stumbled on here, it'd be great if you could subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Would be brilliant. Or you can give me a follow on Twitch, or if you're on Twitch, maybe have a think about coming over to YouTube, because I think YouTube's probably my favourite platform to be on. I don't want you to miss out. So you might want to just come over and subscribe on my YouTube channel, which is Tim Hutch, and you'll find it. Will you be talking about having the proper equipment to achieve your goals and how to know what tools someone needs? Oh, yes, I will be. And that's very interesting, Alex, that you mentioned that, because what I'm about is the inner game. So it's our thoughts and feelings towards something, how we, the cognition, which has always given me the best gains. But obviously you need the correct tools to do a job. Having said that, in the world of, the scary world of the modern day music industry complex, there are so many choices of tools, and the marketing is like absolutely aggressive, isn't it? And you end up buying things that you don't really, really need. So with that, what you're saying there, I'm going to tell you the formula now of what you need to do. So you need to just start doing something and create a problem, okay? And then you can work out what equipment you need to overcome that. So you need to know why, not how. Everybody's like focused on the how, all right? So a lot of times a company will make something and it's all based on, this is how I'm doing it. Or they're trying to address a problem that you haven't had yet. Okay, so for me, when I have a problem, then and I haven't got the tool that I need, then I'll start looking. What I don't do is think, oh, I might have that problem when I'm watching YouTube. I better get that plugin because everybody else will be getting it and I'll be left behind. So I don't do things that way around, So it's just something to be thinking about. But I will go more into that. In fact, I'm going to make a note of that because that's a really good one. I'll have to write my list again. 25. Why? What? So it's the why, what, and how. And that's how you know. So, like, I really love Thomas's plugin, Polychrome plugin. And the reason I like it, right, is it's just, well, for a start, it doesn't look like a traditional amp. It looks modern. But the reason I like it is because everything I need is actually in that one thing. I don't have to go anywhere else. I really like the idea that it's got different IRs you can flick through, and there are 7 choices. So I love that kind of limitation on it. I love that it's basically everything in one space that you need for a produced sound, and it's super versatile. It's excellent for recording, and it's absolutely brilliant for live, and it's low latency, so it solves tons of problems. So Polychrome, amazing. You just need that. Neural DSP are also good, but there's lots and lots and lots and lots of different amps and choices. So the problem I have with that is I have choice paralysis. I can't decide on what I want. All right. And then the thing I want never really covered everything that I needed. So I could never, it was spread up across different options and I couldn't have them all together. Whereas Thomas's thing puts everything in one simple place where I can get to it with, a few manageable pages, and it's brilliant. It's excellent on MIDI. In fact, everything's amazing. It's excellent on MIDI. It works great with MIDI controllers. It's so intuitive. So it is incredible. So you see, the Polychrome thing is built around, a need of like, I haven't got this from this manufacturer. I haven't got this. What I've had it all in one place. And that's why it's so incredible. It's an absolute workhorse. I haven't got anything else on here doing my main guitar sounds except Polychrome, because I just don't need it. It solves the problem. It's brilliant, and it's low latency as well, and low CPU. So that's a brilliant. And there are some like synth-wise, like Xfer Records, Serum like solves loads of problems, that you have when programming synths. But it's just really it's the why, what, and how. So ergo, I got all the neural, and then Polychrome came out, and I haven't used any since. Because it's everything that you need in one spot. Mm-hmm. So there we have it. I've made a note of that, to do that. So I hope everybody's enjoying the more talky sessions with me. And it's a little bit more serious, I know. But I do think it's important. It's something I want to get off my chest as well. And it helps me going through it as well. Talking about these things just helps me as a coach and a practitioner. Yeah, it's absolutely 100% the way to go, and that's why it is here along my name and Kiesel, which are the two things when it comes to guitar that I need. That's it. I don't need anything else. A lead to plug it in. That's it. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. The next live will be tomorrow morning, and it's at 6:15. At some point, I'm going to go back to really, really early mornings, but I've been working a bit later at night on stuff, so I quite like the 6:15 sessions, but I'm going to try and keep it going as long as I can till about 8. And at some point, I'll bring it back earlier so I can get a good 2 hours in. All right then, guys. Take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow. All right, 6:15 in the morning, UK time. Bye.